Hi there, my name is Anissa, and I'm going to be taking you through a Vinyasa Yoga Flow today. I'm so excited that you've decided to join me. If you'd like more tips for healthy living, eating, lifestyle tips in general for overall health, I'd love it if you would follow me on my YouTube channel as well as my Instagram. Both are called Offbeat Life. So now let's go ahead and get started. Our flow today is going to be a 30-minute flow. We're going to start off in child's pose. So just get down onto your mat and take your knees as wide as your mat and just kind of settle in there. Take a few breaths. In through your nose and out through your nose. In through your nose and out through your nose. And while you're down here, taking this very restorative pose, I invite you to think about an intention for your practice, setting an intention as we get started and comfortable on our mat. Okay, now I'm going to ask that we get onto our backs, and we're actually going to start off with a little bit of core work. I find that starting with core work is a great way to get started, just so that we have that engagement in our abs at the beginning of our practice to help us to connect to that engagement throughout the rest of our practice. So we're going to start with a hollow hold, also called boat pose. And it's going to start getting harder as we go through, of course, and really breathe into it. Connect to your breath, it does make it easier. And now we're going to row our boat, we're going to twist. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Get down onto our backs, raise your legs up, and really hold the core in to keep you stable here. And you'll find that this method, not going completely down to the ground, is typically much harder than if we brought our legs all the way down to the ground. So we're in constant tension. To make it harder, bring yourself up a bit higher. And then we'll do one down and then up. The other one down and up. And with these exercises, I recommend before each class or each practice that you do, doing a 6-minute ab sequence with 6 exercises, choosing the ones that you find difficult, because that's the whole point. We want things to be difficult because that means that we're growing and getting stronger. And doing each of those exercises for 1 minute, which that brings you to a 6-minute ab sequence. And doing that every day, or at least every day that you are choosing to exercise, if it's through yoga or something else, you'll find in a few months how strong you will be. And for me, it has made such a difference in my yoga practice. Bring your knees into your chest. Then rock and roll. Stand. Bow forward. halfway lift, forward fold, and chaturanga. So we're going down to the ground, and upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. And breathe it out here. In through your nose, and out through your nose. And really bringing the pit of your stomach right back into your spine, really finding that connection. This is a very active pose. This is not a rest pose, although many people look at it that way, but you can make it very active, and you should. So open to your toes, bend your knees, up to the hands, halfway lift, forward fold, mountain pose, come down, halfway lift, forward folds, chaturanga, chest to the mat, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Couple more breaths here. Up on your toes, bend your knees, hop or walk to the hands, halfway lift, forward folds, pull the way up, down, halfway lift, forward fold, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Another couple of breaths here. Up on your toes, bend your knees, walk or step to your hands, halfway lift, forward fold. Now we come into Katasana, chair pose. So in this pose, what we want to do is our toes are slightly touching, our big toes. We have a couple of inches between our heels, and we're leaning back. Our pelvis is tucked in, and arms are at your ears, and just breathe. If you want to add a little bit more intensity, you can come up onto your toes. You might even get a little bit more depth that way. And you can even add a little bit of pulsing if you wanted to add that intensity. But it's totally fine to just stay here in chair pose as well. Fold. Halfway lift. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Bring your right leg up to warrior one. Really dig into your feet in your warrior one, into the outside edges of your feet, bringing your pelvis in and nice and tucked. Hands to the mat, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog, left foot forward, warrior one. Hands to the mat, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. A couple of breaths here. Come up onto your toes, bend your knees, hop or step to your hands, halfway lift, forward fold, Katasana from one breath, forward fold, halfway lift, hands to the mat, chaturanga, forward facing dog, downward facing dog, bring your right foot forward, warrior one, warrior two, bring it back to warrior two, hands to the mat, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog, left foot forward, warrior one, warrior two, reach, hands to the mat, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. One more time. Come up onto your toes, bend your knees to your hands, halfway lift, forward fold, Katasana, chair pose, forward fold, halfway lift, hands to the mat, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog, right foot forward, warrior one, hands to the mat, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog, left foot forward, warrior one, hands to the mat, chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Now stay here for a couple of breaths. And now we're going to bring our right leg up, open your hip, and you can stay here, or you can flip your dog. Coming all the way over. Really grounding down so that you can rise up, bringing your hips up as far as you can, supporting yourself on that one hand and through your feet. And back to high plank, and then spin over to side plank. And when we're here in side plank, if you need to, you can definitely bring a knee down for more support, or you can stay right here, bringing the hip as high as you possibly can. You can also try lifting the left foot up if you want. We'll stay right here. Breathing through it. You can bring your hands down to the mat, chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Bring your left leg up. Open your hip. Stack your hips. And flip it over or stay. And again, grounding through your feet, your hands, bringing your hips as high as you can, breathing through it. Bring your hands to the mat, high plank, and then side plank. And again, you can bring your knee down if you need the support or stay right here. You can also bring the leg up if you wanted to. Bring your hands to the mat, lower down, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Bring your right leg up, knee to your nose, back up to your right elbow, back up to your left elbow, back up, and step through to Crescent Lunge. So with Crescent Lunge, it's a little bit different than your Warrior One. Your back left leg is as straight as you can get it. If you do need the support though, you can bring the knee down. But typically what we're looking for is to keep that leg straight and active. And both of our feet are facing 12 o'clock. And we're high up on at the toes of our left back leg. And you're bringing this pelvis again, it's tucked to support you and give you more strength in the pose. Hands to your chest, lean forward, twist. And in this twist, what you're looking to do is, again, you're looking to keep your back leg straight. You're trying to keep your stomach pulled into your spine to give you more stability and twist, more room for the twist. And open up to warrior two, however gracefully or not gracefully that happened. Reach back, a nice stretch in there. And then bring your hand down to the ground. Left hand up. Breathe through it. A nice twist in there. A nice stretch. And if you're wobbling and falling around, that is totally okay. That is part of yoga. That means that you are working on so many different muscles in your body. They're getting stronger every day. If you're consistent with your practice, you will see that improve over time. And some days you're still gonna fall anyway. It's totally cool. Hands to the ground, high plank, low plank, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Bring your left leg up, knee to your nose, up again, to your left elbow, up again, to your right elbow. Bring your leg up and step it through to Crescent Lunge. And again, try to keep that back leg straight. Hands to the chest and twist. Ooh, losing the balance there. And what we're trying to do is actually look up. So looking to the ceiling, that does make it harder, but also that's what we're trying to do every day, is improve our practice. So getting to that edge, trying something new and different, making it harder, that will help us to grow and get better in all things, not just on your mat. Your hands to your mat. High plank, low plank, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Just realized I messed that one up. So we're here next in our twist. And now we open up into warrior two. And then get your hand down and the other one up. Extended side angle. Hands to the mat, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Get onto your toes, bend your knees, hop to the top of the mat. Halfway up, forward fold, back into chair pose. And this time we're going to twist to the right. And in the twist, what we're trying to do is just make sure our toes are still touching, our heels are a little bit apart, and that our knees are not touching each other. There's a little bit of space in between them, and that our right and left knees are in line with each other. And keeping our abs and our stomachs pulled in, always pulled in, and deepening our stretch and our twist. Back to chair pose, the other side. And again, trying to keep our knees in line. And forward folds. And now what we're going to do is just grab onto our big toes with our peace fingers, so the 2 fingers, and just kind of let it go a little bit. Let it shake out, shake your head side to side, make it feel good. Now we're going to get into Malasana. So this is a great pose for kind of stretching and aligning your spine and things like that. So what we're doing is we're keeping our feet the width of our mat, and the goal is to kind of pull our knees back and to just sit. Keeping our abs pulled in, the length of our spine nice and straight. And if this is pretty easy for you, you could try lifting your arms, keeping that balance, keeping that alignment. Okay. So now we're going to get up and we're going to move into some balancing. So we're going to start off with Eagle Pose. So with Eagle Pose, we are going to bring our there's a couple of different ways you can do it. So the advanced way would be to, if my balance is working with me today, to take your right leg over and your right arm under. And this is the look that you're going for. And keeping the stomach and your abs kind of pulled into your spine. You could also do genie arms, if that's easier for you. If you can't get your legs all the way wrapped around, however far you can get them, totally okay. And then we're going to switch sides. So this time our left leg is wrapped over and our left arm is under. And we switch. And switch. Bring your arms up to stand. And we're going to bring our right knee up. And bring it to the side. Bring it back. And bringing it all the way back into airplane pose. In airplane pose, we're trying to keep a little bit of an up dog in our chest. And keeping our right leg straight. And our feet are very active. And coming down into half moon pose, if you can do that. This can be a little hard. But that's where the growth happens, remember. If you need a block here, this is a great place to help the ground to come closer to you. Bring it down to the ground. Halfway lift, forward fold. All the way up into mountain pose. Bring the knee to the chest. Open it up. Bring it back to the front. Back into airplane pose. And remember, we're not pointing our toes to the back. We're kind of flexing our toes. It makes it very, very active. That's the back leg that I'm talking about. Hands to your heart, half moon. Trying to get it all opened up. And try not to dump into your right hand. You really want to make sure that your core is active. It will help you to hold the pose better, like all of the poses really. And come back to ground. Halfway lift, forward fold, mountain pose, and we'll go into tree pose. So with tree pose, you have a couple of different options. You can bring your right leg or your right foot to your ankle. You can bring it to your shin. You can bring it to your thigh. Anywhere but not on your knee, because we don't want to be hurting ourselves. That's going to give us an injury. And when you're ready, you can grow your tree. Start off with cactus arms, and then all the way to the sky. And try to look up. Again, it makes it harder, but that's where the growth happens. When it gets harder, really try to breathe. That's when, we should be breathing all the time through the practice, but really paying attention during those hard moments. The reflex really is to stop breathing, and we need to work on that, a really deep breathe, and that will help us get through. And switch sides. All right, now come back down into high plank and low plank, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Bring your right foot up, warrior one, warrior two, triangle pose. So in triangle pose, what we're doing is we're getting our right leg straight, no bend there. Don't lock it out, but don't have like an actual like bend the way we were doing in extended side angle. This is different. And we're trying to create space here, opening. This is an opening pose, a heart opening pose. And come up to stand. Pivot your legs, bring your head down. This is a great place if you like to practice headstands. This is a great place for that. Turn back around. Bring your left leg up a little bit. So now we're in pyramid pose. Just get that nice stretch in your hamstring. Hands to the mat. Chaturanga, so low plank, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. We'll get the other side. Warrior one, warrior two, Katasana, so this is triangle pose. Again, we're trying to open in the chest. This is a great spot for a block as well. I don't have one with me, but you could definitely have a block here for your hand to make it a little bit more accessible to open up. Again, nicer opening in this pose. Come up to stand. And bend down. Come back up. We're going to bring our right leg up a little bit, or foot, sorry, into pyramid pose. Getting that stretch in the hamstring. So now we're going to get back down onto our mats. We're going to lower ourselves down. And we're going to come up. Locust pose. Come back down. Find your hands. We'll do bound locusts. Get yourself up onto your back. Going to bridge pose. So bridge pose, just really pushing our hips up as far as we can get them. Breathing through that. Bring it down. We'll do 2 more like that. Now we'll bring our knees into our chest. We're going to start winding down a little bit. So now we're going to go into some hip stretches. So I like doing double pigeon, but you can certainly do single pigeon. So pigeon is taking your right leg and coming over like this. I don't have a technical way of explaining it, but it's like this. And the goal is to try to keep this right shin as parallel as you possibly can to your mat. And we'll switch over to the other side. So we'll swing over and lay on our backs. Put our feet up into waterfall. Bring our knees into our chest. Twist your legs to the right. Supine twist. And the other side. And everyone's favorite pose, or many people's favorite pose, is Savasana. And when you're ready and you feel complete, come up into a seated position, your legs crossed, hands at your chest. And we bow and say Namaste. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And yeah, hopefully I'll be back soon.